It is day 3 of a very interesting discussion with Marcus Crawford, owner and operator of Bro-Ritos, one of the top food trucks in New Jersey. We are talking about how Bro-Ritos actually grew during the 2020 COVID crisis. Welcome to the 10-Minute Food Truck Training Podcast. My name is Bill Moore. I am a food truck business coach, author of 5 food truck vending books, including Food Truck 101 and Food Truck 201. This podcast is all about helping you start and grow your food truck business.
Flex your business with an American Express Business Gold Card. You'll earn 4 times membership rewards points on your top 2 eligible spending categories, like transit and electronics, each month, on up to $150K in combined purchases per year. Plus, you can now earn 3 times membership rewards points on flights and prepaid hotels booked on AmexTravel.com. Terms and points cap apply. Learn more at AmericanExpress.com/business-gold. Amex Business Gold, built for business by American Express.
So from the first menu that you guys did on that very first truck, how is it different today?
So the first menu was simple: chicken, ground beef, black beans, sauteed peppers, and onions as a veggie vegan option. Just very simple: tacos, burritos, quesadillas, and then we did a lobster roll too. Now we do tacos, burritos, quesadillas, nachos. We have sides of menudo, sides of street corn. We do churros. We added barbecue jackfruit. We added cactus. We added a super veg burrito, which is peppers and onions, menudos, cactus, rice beans, and whatever toppings the customer wants. We added a couple other specialty burritos, being one called the Big Fella. So that's everything: chicken, beef, peppers, rice, beans. One called the Suavemente. So instead of going down the yellow line, we try to bring more fun into our menu because we feel like we have a bright, fun brand being Bro-Ritos, bright green and stuff. So yeah, we started very simple. And then as we grew to a point where we can handle it, all right, let's bring in these specialty items. Let's bring in shrimp. Let's bring in other items that we know people want. And now we can offer those as well.
That's awesome. I like the last thing you said about growing to where you could handle it.
Right.
That's the key, because you could never have started with all that, could you?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. And, it's kind of like you said when you speak to other food truck owners, and I try to tell people the same thing. Start simple. You're in a food truck. People will understand. Start simple. Do things well. And then once you do things well enough that it's streamlined, it's easy, you can always add.
Yeah.
You can always add to, you can always add to the menu. But when you try to open up and have this vast menu that not only confuses your customer, it's going to confuse you inside of your truck when you're trying to scramble to make all these different items. Like, let's keep it simple.
Absolutely. Keep it simple. So if you guys started in 2015, 2016, that means you faced COVID. So how did y'all handle that?
Man. Yeah. So taking me back to a time. So, COVID, generally top of the year, we start getting bookings and stuff. And, most of the time, mid-March is kind of when we start to get the wheels spinning a little bit. Into April, and then May is when it takes off, for our season. But we had about 3 weeks of work in March scheduled with our truck 1. Truck 2 was being built, and we had just signed a lease in the store in January. We signed a lease for our store to be opened in March, April. COVID started spreading around, and I told my team, I said, hey guys, I think this is going to hit us. I think it's going to impact us, and we just got to be ready. And literally a week later, everything was shut down. And it hurt us because our store wasn't open yet. Truck 2 was being built out. So that was, still had to be paid for. And then truck 1, everything we had scheduled on truck 1, everything got canceled. So we were running a zero revenue, for the month of March, and we had bills to pay. Now we got to pay for a store. Now we got to pay for truck 2. Now we got to pay ourselves. That first month and a half from March, April, even very, very slow. We really didn't get the ball rolling again until June-ish of that year, when they kind of start reducing a little bit of restrictions, and they gave us these, parties of 25 people, right, or 20, parties of 50 people. Once they started giving us, those loops to work with, then we were able to start taking on more business. But prior to that, we were pretty much just trying to figure it out.
How worried did you get? What was the peak that you were really concerned during the midst of that?
The initial hit, just because we were in a expansion mode. We were
Right.
expanding. We had a Chase Bank won't admit to it, but we had a loan approved with Chase to help us out with some of this stuff. And they literally withdrew my application out of thin air.
Right.
And that's why they gave me this random reason. I'm like, if it's COVID, just say it's COVID. I get it. But that put us in a bad spot because that was our funds to fund our expansion.
Right.
And then again, like I said, so now we don't have the funds to take care of the truck. We don't have the funds to necessarily pay the rent. So that whole initial, shock factor in March, April of 2020 was very challenging. But we listened and saw what others were doing, and we got our store open, and we start being able to create meals for first responders, and then go make the meal in the store and drop it off. That helped us get by. And then the government eventually start releasing the PPP and the EIDL loans and things like that, which ended up helping us out. So yeah, that initial first shock was a bit bad, but we made ways, especially when it came to being able to donate to first responders or people facing food insecurities, or just other people facing any type of food hardships that we could provide for. That's how we kept our wheels spinning.
So it sounds to me like you never were at a point where you're going to give up. You just basically changed course and made it work.
Yeah. Giving up is not really in the game plan. So, I had a lot of people that have been in the industry that I respect in the industry that have had success, with stores and with food trucks. They were telling me to run for the hills and get out of my lease. Get out. Do not do it. Do not do it. And that's from their experience. But, from my experience and what the weight I felt on my shoulders, we had to keep moving forward.
Yeah.
So, even when your good friends give you some advice, sometimes you just got to take a step back and understand where you are and what you want to do. Those people, they didn't steer me wrong at all, but I just had to make a decision that I felt was best for, myself and my team. And that was to keep on going.
And I think that makes you a stronger company today, having made that decision, because now you know what you can actually deal with and survive.
Right.
Because if you'd have given up and said, oh, yeah, let's just, sell out, and what's the future going to be like for you the next time a little hiccup comes up?
Right.
Yeah.
So, and who knows? I'm pretty sure, hopefully, we don't see another pandemic.
Yeah. It only seems to be about every 100 years. So I don't think either you or I will see the next one.
Right.
But anyway, I'm glad to see that you survived, because there's a story there in and of itself is, you're in growth mode, but today you do have that second truck open and you have the storefront as well.
Yes.
So even dealing with probably what could have been the absolute worst possible timing for COVID to hit for you, you still survived it and are on the better side of it.
Right. Absolutely.
Because when COVID first came out, I dealt with a lot of people and I put out information on what they could do to help themselves to survive. Because I'm one of those people that if I have a business, I am going to do everything that I possibly can to keep my responsibilities to my guests and to my employees, because they came to me, and it sounds like what you were concerned with. How am I going to get through as a business so I can support my family and also support my employees' families?
Right.
So that perfect attitude. All right. So once you get past COVID and things start to loosen up a little bit, how long did it take that second truck to get finished and actually get in operation?
Truck 2 actually ended up launching July of 2020.
Okay. So not too bad.
No, it was supposed to be March.
Right.
And I'm pretty sure they finished the build out in April or May, but I was kind of like, yeah, so you're just gonna have to hold on to it for a couple of weeks, or just let them hold on to it until we had the money or the resources to actually pay for it. We got a wrap put on the road, and thankfully we had that in motion because that helped us get through COVID.
Right.
By having the two trucks, because our store was, it was slow. We didn't get to have a grand opening. We didn't get to really introduce ourselves correctly, but our trucks were still able to go and, do sales and get us to, a sustainable point.
Okay. Did truck 2 come before or after the opening of the storefront? After. Okay. So it was one truck, storefront, 2 trucks.
Right.
Okay. So how was the opening then of the storefront? You said you didn't have a grand opening. Was it just real slow?
Yeah. Yeah, it was. No, we couldn't do a grand opening. You couldn't have a gathering of more than 25 people.
Right.
Uh, people were, at the height of it. I'm not sure where are you based out of?
Florida.
Okay, so you're in Florida, so you guys never really closed. At the height of it for us, we had curfew at like 8 o'clock.
Right. Okay.
People are like, you're scared. You don't want to be around anybody. So especially in this area, the tri-state, New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, things were just shut down. So it was how people weren't working. They're not going to the offices. So whether I go drop flyers off at an office or not, no one's going to see it.
Right.
Everybody's working virtual. So it was super slow. Even joining onto like the third party sites to get some sales, like it helped out, but it was really tough with the store.
Right. But you did what you needed to do to stay alive, to stay as a business, stay alive.
Yeah.
And that's and it all comes down to your attitude. I'm sure your leadership helped to make a difference.
Yeah. I would like to think so.
Well, I mean, obviously you're sitting here talking to me and you're still open, so it made a difference, which is awesome. Tell me the differences in the menu from the food trucks to the storefront menu. Are they identical or are they different?
The food truck menu is still simplified. And then we do like a lot of private events, private catering. So the menu that I kind of mentioned before, all of those options are available if a private client wants them.
Right.
Whereas the store, those were available all the time. All of those options were available all the time. With the truck, we got the simple menu. And then if you request some of these other specialties, we can bring them on.
Have you ever had a request for a catering that went outside of your normal menu?
No, because we have food for everybody.
Right.
So if somebody says that they're allergic to cilantro, we just take the cilantro. We just tell them, okay, cool. We'll just take the cilantro out.
Right.
If somebody wants a strictly vegetarian menu, which was kind of like a first for us, we did get first with that. Like, okay, we want all vegetarian.
Right.
Okay, fine. That's why we started to create more vegetarian options with great flavor so that we can offer that. So actually the answer is yes, not no. And then people had asked us for breakfast, and we have a breakfast menu. So we, whatever people asked for, although we didn't necessarily do it, once we had the store, it gave us a place to kind of create these items and test these items, and then we could always just take them from the store and operate them.
Tomorrow, we wrap up the interview with Marcus and talk about who he sees as his competition. Thank you so much for listening to the 10-Minute Food Truck Training Podcast. If you're finding all the information helpful to your food truck business, please become a monthly supporter of the podcast. Just hit the support button or follow the link in the description. Every little bit does help keep us going. Join our Facebook group. It's called Food Truck Training. We have a whole bunch of awesome members at all different levels, from brand new beginners to decades-old veterans. They've all got your back when it comes to helping you with your food truck. And again, thank you for listening. Come back tomorrow because I got plenty more to say when it comes to helping you and your food truck business grow.